Greetings, happy Halloween, welcome to a brand new video. Today I wanted to share some horror stories, photographer horror stories. Now just as a disclaimer, this video is to serve as entertainment. It's not to put the blame on anyone or to bully anyone that I've worked with in the past, just to have a little laugh at myself and the mistakes that I've made in the beginning of my photography career. So our first story begins in the beginning of winter, and I was doing a big cosplay photo shoot, and the people who were in charge of putting this together had said that the clubhouse at their apartment was where we would be at. I had driven 2 hours to be here. I lived quite far away at this time, so it was quite an endeavor to get there. I had really no clue about where we were, but they had said that they had done cosplay photo shoots in there before and that it should be okay. And I just was like, psh, we got this. So we get our big group together. My lights at the time, I did not have speed lights. I only had low quality continuous lights that you get off Amazon for like $20. And I didn't bring extension cords with me, so they were pretty much a bust. I didn't get to use them. So a lot of the photos were kind of blurry because I was trying to compensate for exposure, and so my shutter speed was really slow. They're not my favorite photos. The lighting situation was just not ideal. We do our solo photos upstairs for the group, and then we go downstairs and we are starting to put together the big group photo. We're trying to do like a one-for-one recreation, and it's very giggly and we're having a lot of fun. And then that's when the apartment staff come up to us and they kindly ask us to leave, saying that there were too many people and that they are usually okay with stuff like this going on as long as it's like one or two, but our group was clearly more than one or two people, and so we were asked to leave. I had no clue about a possible backup location. One of the individuals who was in charge of this photo shoot lived there and said that they knew of another location on grounds that they could go to. And the best that we could do so last minute was a apartment pool in November. And it was very cold, and I'm just thinking about all these photos. They were fine photos. Everyone I worked with was lovely that day. We all just like rolled with the punches. We were asked to leave. We were like, no biggie. But I just remembered really working on these photos and just having to work around the like, don't dive in the shallow area. And the outfits that they were wearing really didn't fit a pool. Like, we weren't doing swimsuit photos. It was very cozy. And so working around this pool environment was just not fun. Again, I didn't have speed lights at the time, so there wasn't any way for me to dramatically light and maybe like cast everything out into the void. And at some point, like, some people had to leave and no one told me. So when I was working on photos, it was such a large group. And I was running around all over the place trying to get solos done and group photos and duos and all of the stuff that eventually, when I got to sitting at my computer and working on it, I was like, wasn't there another character? What happened to them? Why don't I have any solos of them? And then I felt bad because I couldn't remember if I got photos or if my camera maybe malfunctioned and they were just gone, or what had happened. And then I just later found out that they had to leave early and I was not relayed that information. But it was very chaotic. It was very unorganized. And I wish I played a more on-hands role in trying to figure out, like, where are we doing this? When are we doing this? Are we for sure that this is okay? Do we have backup plans just in case? I know better now. And it's still always a big fear when I do photo shoots that are that gray area between it's private property, but it feels like public property. If we're asked to leave, I don't want to be asked to leave. I don't want to make sure that doesn't happen. When I first determined that I wanted to be a photographer, like this is what I wanted my career to be, I wasn't too sure on which path I wanted to take. I knew I wanted to do portraits, but I wasn't sure which avenue of portrait photography I wanted to go down. So I did a little bit of everything, and one of the practice experiments I did for myself was sports photos. My little sister was on a volleyball team, and my mentor had convinced me to take photos, and it was a lot of fun, very amateur. I went in with it was a good speedlight practice for me. I learned a lot, I messed up a lot. But there was one day where I had grabbed my camera, was all ready to go. We got to the gym, I'm getting ready to set up. I go to turn on my camera and it doesn't turn on. And that's because I left the battery at home on the charger. So I told my mom, and she was like, well, do you want to go back and get it? Like, it's only 20 minutes away. I was so worried about missing photos of some of the players that I was like, yeah, give me the keys, I'll book it to the house, I'll grab it, and I'll come back. So 40 minutes later, I have my little battery. I missed one of the games, but I was able to get quickly set up and jump into that next one. Leaving batteries and SD cards are the worst. I've done it multiple times. Everyone has. Don't ever feel bad about it. Just know it's a learning opportunity, and you need to save up for a second battery and extra SD cards, or make a checklist before you pack up. That's what I do now, because I'm so terrified of not having a battery or SD cards and being more than 20 minutes away. This was very amateur. Again, I had just started out. The photos, they're not good photos. I will be honest, they're not good photos. But it was excellent practice, and looking back, it's kind of like charming in a sense that I took all these photos and then I wrote up in like a Word doc, "Dear volleyball parents, my name is Topanga. I'm the little blue-haired photographer running around taking photos. If you'd like them, here's payment information, let me know." At the time, I only charged $35 for those photos, which is severely underpaying myself, even for the time and the what I think the quality of photos are. They were fine. I just know I could do better now because I've grown. So my last story that I have for today is kind of the explanation on why I don't like to do events. So this is the story of my first wedding job. And I want to put a disclaimer out just in case they see this. This was a family member who I did photos for. I was paid, and overall it was a wonderful learning experience. It was just a little chaotic, I'll admit, for reasons that I didn't expect. Usually when people talk about wedding horror stories, it's, bridezillas or the mother of the bride. But a lot of the mishaps that happened came from just everyone being too relaxed, which I think is also, it's a downfall when it comes to weddings. If everyone's too relaxed, nothing really gets done. And I'm naturally not a very assertive person. This is something that I've actively worked on over the years. I still have a lot of work to do, but this was me like quite a few years ago, so the assertiveness was like way down here, with me not being very assertive, and the bride being so relaxed, and so relaxed in that she was not concerned with getting herself ready, like being the first one done. She had an MUA, and I was ready to take photos of her getting ready, and she was like, "No, let the bridesmaids go first." And I'm just sitting there being like, "Oh, well, okay, I guess I can wait." I had my mentor there acting as a second shooter for me, and he was in charge of the groomsmen getting those photos done, which are so easy because guys just get ready and then they just kind of like hang out and maybe have a drink or something. So she was letting her bridesmaids go first, and then by the time that her makeup was done and it was ready for her to get in her dress, I was ready to take photos of that, and no one could lace her in her dress. And the bride knew that I had fashion experience, that I used to go to school for fashion, and so she was like, "You can lace me up, surely." And I was like, "I can, just know that you're not gonna have any photos of you being laced up." And she's like, "Oh, no, that's fine. I just need to get in this dress." And I was like, "Okay." And by the time that everyone was ready, there wasn't really any time to have photos done in the getting ready area of the bride, portrait stuff, not just like event. I wanted some nice portraits because it was a nice venue, and they had a couple unique seats that I would like to have gotten photos of, and I did manage to get a few, but we weren't able to spend nearly enough time as I would have liked to because we had a ceremony to get to. But with the ceremony, there was some chaos too because everyone was so relaxed that there wasn't a rehearsal, and so no one really knew how they were supposed to walk down the aisle. And so at the very last moment, there was a point where we were trying to figure that out, and then guests started to arrive and we were able to get going. And this was my first wedding, so I didn't quite know where the best positioning was to stand, so I was just kind of running down the aisle and squatting and trying to get all my pictures. I was so worried about missing some of the wedding party, and then I got tons of pictures of them. I still like these photos. They don't look like my style anymore, but I was proud of myself. So the ceremony wraps up. It was wonderful. It went fine. And everyone breaks to go to the little canopy area where they have the reception set up. And this was the time where I wanted to grab the family and take family photos after the ceremony. And I was able to get a few, but my family, keep in mind, this is my family. My family was not having it. I think everyone was just really tired and really hungry, and they really just wanted to go have dinner. I had a lot of people yelling at me to hurry up. I was like, okay, if you're done, we can be done. People wanted to eat. I wasn't about to get in front of people's way of food. I know better than that. I missed out on some photos there. I managed to get some, but I wish I could have had more pairings and groupings than what I did get. I was so exhausted by the end of the night. I had arrived at the venue around 2 o'clock, and I don't think I got home until 11 or 12. I'm not for sure. It was late, and I was feeling drained. Like, I felt sick to my stomach. I was so exhausted that my boyfriend, who was with me, he had to help me inside because I was just so worn out. And I know that weddings are like this. They're very long hours. I'm sure that this was kind of a standard work day for photographers and videographers. I was not prepared for that though. This was my very first wedding. It is for all of those reasons. I know it'll be different for every single wedding, but it was just the pure sickening exhaustion at the very end of the day. That is one of the major reasons of why I don't like to do weddings. I would like to thank you for sticking around to the very end. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to hear more horror stories, let me know. I do have some in front of camera horror stories that if you're interested in knowing, I would be willing to share. Go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, all that good YouTube jazz. Until next time, bye guys.